Franco on the go here. We've got more celebrity interviews and movies coming up soon. And the movie we're featuring is The One I Love. We've got director Charlie McDowell. And we have, of course, Mark Duplass, actor and also executive producer of this film. I know we don't want to give away too much about this film, but when I watched it, I mean, it really made me trip out like, whoa, this is some Twilight Zone stuff right here. Maybe in a nutshell, we'll start with you, Charlie. How would you describe this film? I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, I mean, it's a relationship story. So it's really about a couple who's struggling in their marriage, and they're trying to figure out which sort of path to take. Do they keep going, or do they sort of part ways? And so their therapist sends them on this weekend retreat where they're going to go figure out what they want to do. And when they get there, a sort of bomb is dropped in the middle, and something crazy happens.
And that crazy is the twist here. And I was scratching my head multiple times. I was watching with my wife. I was like, that's pretty cool. So Mark, talk about, you're being obviously, in the film, but then also, producing the film. Was it how hard or difficult or challenging was it to kind of wear two different hats?
I think when you're making an independent film like this, everybody's wearing multiple hats. I'm not the only one. This was a cast and crew of like 25 people. And, when you see this sort of beautiful place where we shot the movie, we all live there as well. So it was a lot like camp. So honestly, it's not hard at all. It's more fun being in a creative environment where, look, we tried to create a romantic comedy story that also did something wildly different, and you need help from everybody on board. So it was fun.
I understand that there's quite a bit of improv, especially doing a film like this. Talk about the improv. How did you prepare for obviously your role, because it was you and was it Elizabeth Moss who did an excellent job playing husband and wife there. But how much thought before, like the night before, or the day of, when you're looking at the script and saying, okay, what can I improvise and what can I not?
Yeah, we shot the film from a very detailed 50-page outline that had everything in it that a normal script does except the actual dialogue. And sometimes our writer, Justin, would even write out scenes the night before we would shoot if we felt like it was particularly complex. And so we'd use some of it, throw out some of it. And, at the end of the day, the improvisation in movies like this is all about trying to make the couple feel as real as possible, and trying to eliminate that thing where you feel an actor having studied their lines in the mirror for 3 days, and hopefully it feels like the way we're talking right now. So the idea that we could try to get that element of relationship naturalism combined with some of the Twilight Zone-y, more tightly plotted sci-fi elements of the movie seemed like an exciting blend.
Yeah, indeed, and the dialogue was very natural. I mean, because I was talking about I was talking to my wife watching this. This is what we fight about all the time. I mean, obviously, your characters went through some other things, and that's why they're here, going through this counseling. But just the conversations of what husband and wife do, and kind of, I noticed a lot of that improv, and I was like, it's very natural, very real, and it was very believable. But let's touch upon the whole sci-fi Twilight Zone aspect of this. Charlie, I know that I don't want to give it away. That's the thing, I want to talk about it so bad because that's really what makes this movie so interesting. But talk about maybe the challenges of shooting this film and kind of getting those characters, to do what they do, because there's definitely some twists.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for us, it was about trying to pinpoint the tone of the movie because it does play in different genres. So you have comedy, you have romance, you have sci-fi, you have mystery. And so it was really about kind of locking in, like, what the tone of it is because it's blending so many different things. And then from there, it was just about keeping these characters emotionally honest. And as long as we did that, we could go to places that were fantastical. And so for me, it was just about making sure I knew how to shoot the specific sci-fi elements. So there are effects in the movie. We do use green screen and different kinds of things. So we had to make sure that we had all of that down. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was a challenge. It was a big challenge. It was something I'd never done before. But it was cool to take a sort of traditional love story and then just have this totally wacky element to it.
And this is your directorial debut, correct? Yeah. And so was it what you expected? Was there a lot more challenges? I mean, how did it feel as a director?
Yeah, I mean, It was great because we really had a big collaboration on the movie. So it was sort of all of us coming together, figuring out the characters, figuring out the story. And so I never felt like I was totally alone and I had no idea what I was doing. It was sort of like we all really trusted each other. It was a tight-knit group, and we all lived at this house, and shot during the day and hung out at night. And so it was I didn't have time really to stop and be scared. It was sort of like, all right, let's just go make the movie. Yeah.
And I was reading too that, I mean, yes, it was, basically one house, one area, and you had to make things kind of look different on the different scenes that you had, and that can be challenging, especially with such a limited space. How did you get Ted Danson to play the psychiatrist, Mark?
He was a tough nut to crack, but luckily, Ted is Charlie's stepdad, so that was very easy for us. Yeah, it was basically.
It was a call to my mom.
Yeah, I was like, Ted, you have to be in the movie. Please be in the movie. But we actually did talk about all kinds of different people that we wanted for that role. But I remember saying to Charlie, I was like, remember that weird scene in Body Heat where he's like out there like dancing on the pier and being so strange and exciting? And I was like, that's the quality we need. And he's like, you're right. We got to get Ted. So.
It really sets it up because in the beginning, you've got Ted, and then it's got you, Mark, and Elizabeth there, as the husband and wife, and just, going through that counseling, and then it goes through that whole journey, and then just scratching my head. And I think, it was very, very effective in terms of, like, it just kept you on your toes. The music, first off, let's talk about that music, because different scenes, again, without giving it away, really, the music, I think, sets a really big tone as to, whoa, they're going into this kind of Twilight Zone moment, and then it's back to reality. Any of you want to chime in on that and the music?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, for us, it was sort of like we had found the movie like 75%, and then the music was really what sort of tipped it over and defined what the tone is, which is, like I said before, it plays in so many different genres. So it's like, how do you tackle each one and then make it feel like it's one movie, And so, I mean, there were definitely themes kind of running through the different sounds, but they would use different instruments. And these guys Danny and Sonder were unbelievable. And it was pretty much, they sent us like a first pass in 2 weeks of the score, and it was almost exactly what I ended up using in the movie. So yeah, it was. It's such a huge part of this kind of movie because it isn't just your typical quirky like independent film score. There's so many different elements to it, and those guys really got it.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for the time. Thanks for coming to San Francisco. It's The One I Love, and you can hashtag The One I Love. It comes out August 22nd. So it's a big Friday for you guys coming up. So good luck with the film. Thank you so much, Charlie McDowell and Mark Duplass.